Steven Spielberg's lifelong exploration of encounters with aliens. From Close Encounters of the Third Kind in 1977 to E.T. in 1982. It was not just a sci-fi movie, but a story of loneliness and reunion for a boy without a father. What is a close encounter of the third kind? Real testimonies that even astronomy experts believed. An incredible true story of middle school students who captured a UFO in Kara, Kochi Prefecture. Surrounded by female staff, Spielberg made the film solely from a child's perspective. What was the director's own desperate wish hidden in the bond between Elliot and E.T.? Toshio Okada will provide a thorough explanation of the hidden messages in Spielberg's films. Watch the full episode right now.
Mom and my brother would believe me. My sister wouldn't, and if you mock her. So Elliot would suddenly say to Dad. He would have believed me, like that. He'd blurt out that if Dad had died, the whole family atmosphere would suddenly freeze at the dinner table, with my brother and his sister Gardy looking at each other, glancing at Mom, and Mom desperately holding back tears, saying excuse me and standing up to go to the kitchen. That's just how it goes. Mom, even then, I couldn't bear it, and ended up shutting myself in my room. Elliot would wash the dishes by himself. Washing the dishes, and this is the opening of this scene. Elliot washing the dishes alone, and this scene leads to the finale, which means, as explained at the beginning, E.T., a film by Spielberg, holds a very unique position among his works. I really love this film. Originally from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 5 years before 1977. Planned as a sequel to the film he made 5 years before E.T. was conceived. The Democratic Party's encounter is like modern English, with a black line counter called Third Kind. It's a third type approach equipment, which is mysterious. It's something from the U.S. Air Force. Their UFO investigation organization, where Professor Alan Hynek, who was a true astronomy authority and UFO denier, but after participating in the U.S. Air Force research project, I was a total denier, but now I can't deny. I was a total denier, but now I can't deny, so to speak. So to speak. He's an incredibly rare person who switched sides. And the word he created, the first type. First-class encounter means spotting a UFO within 150 m of distance. Details clearly visible at a distance, as described in the first book. Second, first-class encounter means a UFO approaching. For example, evidence might be left behind. Grass burning after landing, cars stopping, house fuses blowing. Various phenomena occur, experiencing. These phenomena is the 10th world's third book about market prices. Inside the UFO, directly with the crew. Contacting, the third kind of close encounter, black line. Called Counter of the Third Kind. A movie I made. Quite a niche title, right? These chemical terms and specialized terminology are the title of a movie sequel? It's E.T., an extraterrestrial. He was apparently strongly opposed to this. For Spielberg, it was a blacklisting. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a sequel, so extraterrestrial where is fine. If E.T. doesn't work, what about the previous one? What about that one instead? Encounters like missed, like Star Wars. Movie box office records. Updating and a black dancer encounter. If you're okay with third membership, let's make it possible to be an extra. Right? Totally. Persuaded and somehow held onto that title in reality. So that's what it is. About the movie E.T., what made it special? First, its budget was just $10 million. It's about 1 billion yen at current prices. In Spielberg's movies, it became a major hit, so in movies, particularly low, and out of a $10 million budget, $1.5 million went to the mechanics. to make a moving ET with various mechanisms, including parts like internal organs. Moving, lighting up, body moving, eyes moving. Just creating this cost $1.5 million. It's costing 15,100% of the entire budget. That much. It's a low-budget film, so only unknown actors appear. It's a low-budget film, so only unknown actors appear. Won't show up. Only child actors and unknown actors appear, but that is exactly what Spielberg wanted to make. A film like that, surrounding it with famous stars and actors. Is how it goes, We had to keep making hits. We had to listen to that movie company. Not going out of business, but making very small productions. That's what I want to create. So, even for low-budget films like Star Wars, Alec Guinness, a famous British Shakespearean actor, had to be cast. For Hollywood movies, it was crucial. For Hollywood movies, who appears in the film was critical. The point is which stars will appear. In the movie theater's small hut, the poem is about which images will be discarded. In the movie theater, whether it can be written or not, depending on who is appearing, that was the era when people were watching. So most were child actors. Movies with no famous actors, even with Spielberg's reputation, was truly a personal act, so conversely. In other words, even if Spielberg only had $1 million, it won't cost $10 billion, just $10 billion. Like saying, let me go on this adventure. A truly incredible movie by Spielberg. It's a very special film. By the way, they spent $1.5 million to create this mechanical ET. Well, its movements are a bit awkward, you see. ET was made by Carlo Rambaldi, an Italian craftsman. An Italian craftsman from the Rambaldi family. But there's this Lambardi family. When creating this, I was like, this is me. My nephew is the only one who could make this part. No, this is something about my uncles. Saying he can't make it without friends, in Italy. Saying he can't make it without friends in Italy, he called tons of acquaintances and the budget. He called tons of acquaintances and the budget went up. And so, like that, E.T., which was made by struggling, still somehow managed to move in the climax scene. But it doesn't move much. Especially the fingertip acting was difficult. The fingers move so intricately, the technology of this era was quite challenging, but it's Spielberg. I got really tired of it, The pantomime woman, right? Hey you. Her fingers are long, right? They were really beautiful. They were incredibly long, seriously. I said it was inherited from her mother, and you're like, but E.T.'s hand, if you don't do it, this finger. First, he has an incredibly long finger. In that movie, when E.T.'s hand is zoomed in, or when he's grabbing chocolate or something, in those scenes, most of the hand movements were done by that pantomime woman. So when the movie was released, this Lambardi created mechanical E.T. became really famous, as if the whole machine did everything. It seems to be running with some incredible technology. Well, surprisingly, even with that E.T. body, below that, there's this woman and her hand. She's doing just that part herself. Apparently there were a lot of those scenes. Apparently those scenes were all over the budget. As I mentioned earlier, keeping costs extremely low. Another reason is, the acrylic bag is a private film. I wanted to make it my own way. Back then, well, now that allergy. It seems things have gotten somewhat better. Steven Spielberg, he's a big budget, fourth star, making Hollywood movie method, he was experiencing incredible stress. Especially male staff and male actors, those actors have a certain assertiveness, His father knew Spielberg when he was a child. He left home and then, after that, his family was just his mother. His mother was a famous pianist with 7 assistants, apparently. All of them. 7 female assistants of the famous pianist mother were under Spielberg. He had 3 sisters. the only boy growing up surrounded by women. As Spielberg grew up, he's really uncomfortable with masculine men. He's uncomfortable, first of all, Spielberg himself is. He's uncomfortable, first of all, Spielberg is short, skinny, with a typical Jewish hook nose. Short and skinny with a hook nose. With messy hair, he's just definitely not an attractive type, so masculine. With masculine men, he might admire them, but also finds them uncomfortable. So, like Harrison Ford. At first, it seems I was really bad at it. Harrison Ford really talks about acting theory. It's so noisy, why is this scene like this? Isn't this line supposed to be different? The director thought about it, but I see the scene differently. That's how it should be, pushing forward. Pushing hard, Spielberg might not like it. I'm not good at dealing with that, Tom. Like Hanks, what was it, Tom? Like Cruise, anyway, Spielberg. That creates. Actors generally listen to what the director says. Quite obediently. At the beginning, Richard, like Drenfarth and Harrison Ford, were pushing hard and were somewhat difficult, apparently. Once you become a famous actor, as male actors progress, they always bring their own acting plan. He's trying to persuade the director. Well, what George Lucas did. George Lucas also talks about this masculine. He says he's not good with on-set situations. But Spielberg was even more. Basically, he was bad at discussing things. Right. Actually, Steven Spielberg. In 2012. It's dyslexia. Literacy. I've been diagnosed with a literacy disorder. Basically, I can't read text or recognize letter shapes clearly. Communication becomes really difficult for me, so I've tried to avoid discussions as much as possible throughout my life. It's about dyslexia. Before his diagnosis, Spielberg himself was said to have been diagnosed with Asperger's. In any case, what's common to both is Spielberg's type struggles to communicate verbally with people. He's extremely challenged in this area. But if he shows it visually like this, it becomes incredibly insightful. Watching a movie someone else made, I see what they mean. Oh, I see, there's a rule like this. If you do this, the audience will feel this kind of emotion. They can read it incredibly well. The flaw could be seen as mockery, so to speak. And so, at the movie production site, especially at Hollywood movie production sites, directors are always full of confidence, holding their own vision and expressing it. Why does it have to be like this? The type who can strongly assert themselves. You can't survive without it. Ridley Scott during the Alien era, behaving quite gentlemanly in the British style. He had a serious fight with the staff. Or rather, had a conflict. I've read about it, and that's how it was. The way Hollywood makes movies. Basically, there's only upward movement. Whether as a cameraman or for proof, or anything else. Trying to say something to the director and appeal. To push through one's own ideas. Spielberg would do that, but it's incredibly stressful. And that's really stressful. E.T. is the kind of Hollywood style. Escaping from the masculine set and to the producer. Specifically, Kathleen Kennedy. This time, E.T. becomes the first female producer. Around 1941, it seems. They had a connection, apparently, as an assistant producer. And he was quickly promoted to Kathleen Kennedy. She would immediately praise Spielberg. She would praise him right away. And in interviews with Steven Spielberg, she would praise him extensively. Kathleen first make the caddy a producer. He would have the cast understand the principles on any set and have them sit in on meetings. The script was written by Harrison Ford's girlfriend at the time, Melissa Matheson, who was a woman. And if you look at her and Kathleen, they seem to be similar types of people. So you can see why Spielberg would feel comfortable with this type of person. That makes sense. So about this Melissa Mathis. She's a screenwriter. And as a screenwriter, she somehow ends up on set. and just sits there and starts giving acting directions to the point where she's even directing the lights, saying things like not there and moving the camera, and taking shots, really pushing hard. Just like Caitlyn and other performers, constantly butting into the production. And then when I looked at the credits, I'm an associate producer or something. He has a role beyond just being a screenwriter. When things get intense, it really picks up. The two of them were saying it was the best, you know. The scene was amazing. Steve is a genius. Thanks to that, Spielberg could really relax. He was totally relaxed. Steven, listen. This E.T. making and storybook. This E.T. making and storybook. There's something in this book. There's something in this book. At the time, the staff were basically. The staff was small in number. E.T. had an incredibly small staff. Everyone was getting along well. After perfectly capturing the atmosphere on a set with so many women, they were saying it was their first time, and I watched the making of, and it was really. The female staff was completely different compared to other films. It's common, that's Spielberg's comfort zone. I think it was an environment he could work in, surrounded by women. Created while being surrounded. For Spielberg, E.T. was like his childhood. Just like his childhood home. A relaxing environment, just like home. He wanted to create it exactly as he imagined. Spielberg wanted. In the initial concept, he planned to not show any adult faces. In the E.T. movie. It's pretty crazy, though. About the Charlie Brown and Snoopy comic. Has anyone read the original? Charles Schulz wrote it, right? In Snoopy's comics, adults don't appear. Only feet appear, if at all. But in the anime version, adults do show up. Though you only see their feet. That's right. Saying something incomprehensible. I just understood Charlie Brown now. Like saying, I'll do it right away. Something like that, you know. He wanted to shoot it, apparently. Even when they appear, adults always depict from a child's perspective. Only from the waist down. Only up to the chest. A movie where trying to capture from head to toe. So that's why, you know, at the beginning, E.T. is left behind on a spaceship, abandoned in a scene from Keys. Only showing from the waist down, barely showing almost the face. Almost in backlighting, deliberately avoiding showing the face. This is a consistent directorial technique. Because the initial production plan was still in place. However, once they started with shooting, Cassin Kennedy and Melissa Matheson, they told me it was impossible. Steven Speed's plan was simple. Steven Speed's plan was simple, and he backed down, like with women, at the scene surrounded by staff. Spielberg became stress-free to come up with ideas and suggest how to do things, saying it's impossible, staff saying like it in a somewhat condescending way. Not being told condescendingly by staff, but when it's mentally thinking, I can pretty much use my own idea, but could easily withdraw the idea, and because the staff is only women. What was created is the last scene. I really like Elliot close-up shot. A spaceship flying off, he's laughing and doing something. But Elliot was the only one who remained serious, looking up with a serious face and the wind. The medical scene and the boy's hair moving dramatically. Here. John Williams music. Goes turn pitch black and the cast. Staff list appears, incredibly mind-blowing ending. Her close-up with her hair blowing in the wind. In Kara, Kochi Prefecture, there was what's known as the Kara incident. Supposedly captured. This is a very famous story in UFO circles. But almost no one outside knows about it. It's just totally unbelievable. I'm writing about capturing something. When I was talking about exactly UFOs the other day, from a logical or scientific perspective, UFOs are. I talked about it in this way. But UFOs are not just that. The excitement and danger of discovery are something that exists here. I wanted to introduce a bit about that. Music. It's the Unidentified Flying Object Unit, or UFO, so to speak. There are various incidents related to UFOs, like the one in 1947. In New Mexico, the world's most famous UFO incident. In January 2008, many citizens witnessed a massive UFO. The Stephenville incident, where many citizens witnessed a huge like the Stephenville incident. There have been various circumstances. There's an incredibly unique story that can't be a UFO incident that occurred in Japan. Hello, I'm Toshio Okada. Today's video is about the Kara incident. Anyone familiar with the UFO community would know this famous story. Those not well-versed in UFOs, or without much interest, anyone knows about this. It's about a UFO incident today. Marriage is actually kind of trending right now. A corner for this is a video from 9 years ago. Uploaded a cat video on May 17th. Reposting the 20th 74th investment videos from 9 years ago. Even 9 years ago, I received a message after the video. There are additional upgrade details. Please look forward to it. Now, from here. Free video starts now. So, where should we begin? Well, today I'd like to start with a bit of a silly story. So, what was it? A few times back, we talked about UFOs and wondered what UFOs really are. When discussing UFOs, I'm number one now. It's unforgettable. So, there's a story from 1972. In Kara, Kochi Prefecture, something happened. It's called the Kara incident, involving 4 middle school students who apparently captured a UFO. This is now linked above. In Kara, Kochi Prefecture, 4 middle school students captured a UFO, which is famous in UFO circles, but almost unknown to the general public. Hardly anyone knows about it. It's about UFO capture and all that. Everyone's writing like, is this broadcast for real? Well, about the capture, you see. In the countryside of Kochi Prefecture, in the rice fields. It was about 20 centimeters in diameter, so really about the size of a plate, this UFO was discovered, and a middle school student, when trying to grab it, it would resist, so the middle school student was riding a bicycle at the time, at the back of the bike. Sit down here and tie up the luggage with a rope, and apparently drag it back home. When I went home, UFOs would often try to fly, so I'd cover them with a futon. To prevent them from flying, I wonder what happened. When I flipped it over, there were several holes. And looking through these holes, I could see something like parts or components. When I asked why this incident was so famous, it was like, this is unbelievable. So, regarding UFOs, there were conference factions, imperial factions, and denial factions at the time. Various people interviewed this middle school student. But regarding the interview, the way of speaking was clearly different from someone making up a story. Ultimately, the UFO witness group was directly related to something, like something dropped, or besides the photos. They dropped something, and besides the photo, the credibility of their statement is basically, the credibility of their statement is, the credibility can only be considered this way, and with this. The incident, you see, with this UFO. The middle school student knows about this, right? And since they know, if they were going to lie, they would have come up with a more plausible lie. Basically, those middle school students ultimately, well, basically, for now, what they're doing is nothing, so they're just messing around, you see? When I tried shaking it around, there was a rattling sound inside, like a defective UFO. There was a rattling sound, like a defective UFO. I thought it wasn't a good product, it was terrible. When I turned it over, hot water came out of the hole. I heard he poured hot water in, and when he did, a hissing sound came from inside. As a result of repeating such bullying, the UFO apparently disappeared. Even though I covered it with a futon and hid it, it vanished. And then after a few days, it was found nearby, you see. This UFO, it happened 3 times or something. Fleeing and coming back, falling near the neighborhood 3 times. Locations were discovered, you know. It's truly an incomprehensible incident. Even now, everyone in this case is still the middle school students at the time of the incident, that election. They were middle school students in 72, so they're about my age. So they should be over 50 years old now. But it remains unknown in Japan. Not only that, but I'm also a UFO researcher from overseas. This case is incredibly rare. There's a famous incident called the Kara incident. Recently, when talking about that, when discussing UFOs, about what UFOs actually are, from a logical or scientific perspective. From a scientific standpoint, UFOs are like this. I talked about what UFOs are like. But that's not it. What exactly are UFOs? I wanted to introduce the excitement and danger of the group, like it's right here in this place. I wanted to share a bit about it. Around the time I was in college, there was this incident. Reconstruction videos were often shown on TV. Those reconstruction videos were quite different from what I remember. I watched the music videos, and all 3 were quite interesting. They were really well made and fascinating. Hey, UFO has some interesting things like this. So, next news, right? News, like a breaking news report this time. It's kind of like that, everyone. From messages, you know, those post-it notes that we'll receive. But the post-it notes aren't ready yet today. I'm thinking of doing something like this. Next, where should we start? It's about DeAgostini, you see. I wrote about this on Facebook. But the weekly DeAgostini. Soliciting ideas for 1 million yen. Everyone, did you see this above? If you look at this link, you'll understand. But DeAgostini is doing something like a habit, right? Now, Asset Company is doing a lot on TV. But this, DeAgostini is basically the weekly something or other idea is already. Well, we're just going to keep doing it anyway. We finally got ideas from the general public. We decided to solicit ideas. But the video for soliciting those ideas, the representative version of Riagosti or something. Employees can't go home until they submit ideas. Something like that sounds incredible. This kind of forced thing was created. The idea itself is just, I applied for the 1 million yen recruitment. But when I applied, it was pretty bad. It says black company. Of course, it's just a joke. I wrote this as a joke at the end of the video. DeAgostini employees, go home properly. A telep saying wait appears. I applied, but the application method is within 108 characters and 8. Writing a proposal is incredibly difficult. Hey everyone, please apply for Diego. Please submit using the 3 form. Really, if it exceeds 108 characters, you won't be able to submit through the form. It becomes impossible, so keep it within 108 characters. The difficulty of writing a proposal, generally. You know. Well, I think all ideas have been exhausted. But for example, in the past, Otomo. Masashi, from Young Magazine. Well, there was this writer in the Kanto gravure scene. Who was doing the composition? A guy named Masashi Otomo wrote a monster anatomy diagram. It was written like this, for example. Like, if it was Nirona, you know. If it was Nirona. Nirona appears in Ultraman. For Nirona, like, in its stomach. There's a bag that shoots heat rays, or electricity from its horns. Like, an electrical line or something like that. It looks like a monster figure, you know. But when you open it up, inside is an anatomical diagram. An anatomical figure where when you open it up, the inside becomes an anatomical diagram. An anatomical figure like that. What could it be? What might be possible? Like convenience store figures or something. It's interesting, like the uniforms of different convenience stores. And the convenience store signs and such. Those kinds of things, probably anything. I think it's good, but within 108 characters. Writing a proposal is quite challenging. Writing something long is even difficult for a fool. But interesting proposals can be done. To be frank, it can be explained in about 100 characters. So right now, it just kind of flowed in the comments. Weekly Melon is pretty good. Black company, nice. What kind of white home appliances weekly are you doing? The comments are gradually becoming something. Right? Comments are becoming more important. I feel like I saw a weekly magazine about soba. I think it was a weekly drone something or other. Assembling a drone with a drone. I guess this project might be probably happening, right? Well, the history of weekly magazines, I mean. I like collecting these amazing mini books or miniature books. So, you know, about that. Like miniature book collections. I wish they would do something like that. Weekly nuclear power magazine, no thanks. What is this? Wait a sec. I saw the question.